Listen carefully because what you are about to hear is not an accident, and it is not random timing, and it is not something you just happen to click on for no reason at all, because there are moments in life when heaven chooses a very specific time to speak directly into a person's situation, and this moment right now may be one of those moments for you, because before this month ends something is going to shift in your life in a way you did not expect and could not predict, and maybe right now you are carrying questions you never thought you would still be carrying at this point in the year, and maybe you thought by now things would already be different. Maybe you believed by now the door would already be open. Maybe you thought by now the prayer would already be answered. Maybe you expected the stress to already be gone, or the opportunity to already arrive, or the breakthrough to already appear, but instead you are still standing in the middle of uncertainty, still walking through silence, still wading through a season that feels longer than it should feel, and yet there is something important you need to understand, because God's timing does not follow human calendars, and heaven does not measure progress the same way people measure progress. And just because something has not happened yet does not mean something is not already moving behind the scenes, because some of the biggest changes God makes in a person's life begin quietly before they ever become visible, and some of the strongest transformations start in places no one else can see, and sometimes the delay you are experiencing is not a denial but a preparation, and sometimes the waiting you are living through is not punishment but positioning, and sometimes the silence around you is not absence but alignment, because God knows exactly what must shift first before what you are praying for can safely arrive in your life. And there are moments when heaven allows pressure not to break you but to shape you, and there are seasons when doors stay closed not because you are forgotten but because something better is being built that requires more time than you expected. And right now, even if it does not feel like it, even if it does not look like it, even if nothing around you seems to confirm it, there is movement happening in your favor that you cannot yet see, because before this month ends something is going to change. And the reason this message matters today is because many people quit believing right before their moment arrives, and many people stop expecting right before the shift begins, and many people lose confidence right before the answer starts moving toward them, and maybe without realizing it you have been standing closer to your breakthrough than you think, because God often waits until the moment when your strength feels smallest before revealing how strong His plan actually is. And maybe this month has already stretched your patience, already tested your faith, already challenged your expectations, already forced you to keep walking when nothing made sense. And maybe there were nights when you wondered whether anything was still happening at all, and maybe there were mornings when motivation felt harder to find, and hope felt heavier to carry, and confidence felt quieter than usual. But what you did not realize during those moments is that heaven was still working even when everything around you looked unchanged, because some miracles begin forming long before they appear, and some answers begin traveling toward you long before they arrive, and some doors begin unlocking long before they open. And before this month ends, there is something God has already started preparing that is closer to your life than you think right now. And the reason you are still here, and the reason you are still moving forward, and the reason you did not give up during the hardest moments of the season is because something important is still waiting ahead of you. And God never brings a person this far into a season just to Leave them without purpose or direction or outcome, because when heaven allows a season of waiting, it always carries a season of movement on the other side, and sometimes the reason the process feels longer than expected is because what is coming is bigger than expected, and sometimes the reason the silence feels deeper than usual is because what God is preparing is stronger than usual, and sometimes the reason the pressure feels heavier than normal is because the change that is about to arrive is more important than you realize right now, and before this month ends, something that felt stuck is going to begin moving, something that looked delayed is going to begin aligning, something that seemed uncertain is going to begin becoming clear, and something that felt closed is going to begin opening in a way that reminds you that God was never ignoring your prayers, He was arranging your timing, because there is a difference between waiting and being forgotten, and you have not been forgotten. There is a difference between silence and absence, and God has not been absent. There is a difference between delay and denial, and what you are experiencing right now is not denial, it is preparation, because heaven always works with purpose even when people cannot see the process. And sometimes what feels like nothing happening is actually everything being positioned correctly behind the scenes, so that when the moment finally arrives, it arrives stronger than expected, clearer than expected, and more perfectly timed than expected. And before this month ends, there is something already moving toward your life that will remind you that your faith was not wasted, your patience was not pointless, your endurance was not unnoticed, and your prayers were never ignored, even during the quietest days of this season. Listen carefully, because what is happening in your life right now is not random timing. And it is not a coincidence that you are hearing this message at this exact moment, while this month is still moving forward, because before this month ends, something is already shifting in the unseen realm for you, even if your eyes cannot recognize it yet, and even if your heart still feels tired from waiting. Because God does not wait until the last minute to begin working, He often waits until the last moment to reveal what He has already been preparing behind the scenes for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. And the frustration you have been carrying recently was never meant to break you, but to position you for the exact change that is approaching your life right now. Because when heaven prepares a transition, it first creates pressure. And when God prepares elevation, He often allows confusion so that you stop trusting what you see and start trusting what He promised. And maybe lately, you have been asking why certain doors closed unexpectedly, or why certain people became distant, or why certain plans suddenly stopped working the way they once did. But what you did not realize is that those closed doors were not punishment, they were protection, and those delays were not rejection, they were direction, and those endings were not losses, they were divine separation from places you were never meant to stay permanently. Because before God releases something new, He quietly removes what would interfere with it. And even though the silence around you has felt heavy and the waiting has felt longer than you expected, there has been movement happening in ways you cannot measure yet. Because heaven does its most powerful work in moments when nothing appears to be changing on the surface. And the reason you have been feeling this strange mixture of exhaustion and expectation at the same time is because your spirit already senses what your eyes have not seen yet. Something is aligning, something is rearranging, something is opening that could not open earlier because the timing was not complete yet. And you may have thought that this month would pass just like the others, but this month carries a different assignment over your life whether you recognize it or not. because God sometimes chooses a specific window of time to release a specific shift that cannot be delayed any longer. And what looked like stagnation was actually positioning, what looked like silence was actually strategy. And what looked like uncertainty was actually preparation for a moment that is closer than you think right now. Folded hands, because there are prayers you prayed earlier this year that did not disappear into silence. They were stored for the exact moment you are walking into now, and there are opportunities being arranged that you could not have forced even if you tried. Because when God decides the season has changed, no obstacle has permission to stop what He releases. And this is why the pressure increased recently, and this is why distractions tried to surround you, and this is why doubt tried to speak louder than hope. Because whenever something important is about to shift, the resistance becomes louder right before the breakthrough appears. But what you are feeling right now is not the end of something good, it is the beginning of something overdue. And before this month finishes, there will be a sign that reminds you that heaven never forgot your name, and never ignored your situation, and never stopped working on your behalf even during the moments when you thought nothing was happening at all. Because God specializes in last-minute transformations that arrive exactly when faith begins to feel tired but not finished yet sparkles. And the reason this message found you today is because you were never meant to finish this month carrying the same weight you started it with, and you were never meant to step into the next season with the same closed doors still standing in front of you, and you were never meant to keep questioning whether your breakthrough was still coming, because something is already moving toward you now, even if you cannot see the evidence yet, and even if nobody around you understands what God is preparing for you behind the scenes right now. And before this month ends, you will begin to recognize that the delay was never denial, and the silence was never absence, and the waiting was never wasted time but divine preparation for a moment that is finally ready to arrive in your life exactly when you needed it most. And before you scroll away or let doubt convince you that this message is not meant for you, understand this clearly, because something invisible has already started shifting in your favor, even if your situation still looks the same today. Because one of the greatest mistakes people make during a divine transition season is believing that silence means nothing is happening, when in reality silence is often the exact moment heaven is rearranging people, opportunities, timing, protection, and unexpected breakthroughs behind the scenes in ways your human eyes cannot yet recognize but your spirit can already feel. And that restless feeling inside your chest lately is not anxiety without reason, but a signal that something is moving closer to you faster than you think. Because God does not place expectation inside your heart without preparing fulfillment somewhere along your path. And the doors that stayed closed earlier this month were not punishments but protection from places that could not carry the version of you that is about to rise before this month ends. And the strange delays that frustrated you were not rejection but redirection towards something more aligned with your purpose than anything you were trying to force earlier. And even though you questioned your progress, and wondered why answers did not arrive when you expected them, what you did not realize is that while you were waiting, heaven was preparing a moment so precise that when it arrives you will immediately understand why nothing else worked out the way you planned. Because sometimes God allows confusion to stay longer than comfort so your faith becomes stronger than your fear. And sometimes He lets situations stretch longer than expected so the blessing that follows becomes impossible to ignore or explain as coincidence. And this is exactly the kind of season you are walking through right now, where things may still look ordinary on the outside, but something extraordinary is quietly forming underneath the surface of your life. Because before this month ends, there is a shift coming that will remind you that every tear you tried to hide, every silent prayer you whispered when nobody was watching, and every moment you almost gave up but somehow kept going anyway was being counted and remembered. And what is about to happen next will not only answer one prayer but will begin changing the direction of multiple areas of your life at the same time in ways that make you realize this season was never empty, it was preparation. Listen carefully, because what is about to happen next in your life will not look like coincidence, and it will not feel random, and it will not arrive in the way you expected. Because when God begins to move after a long season of silence, He does not simply fix small things around you, He shifts the atmosphere around your destiny itself. And the reason you have been feeling this unusual pressure in your heart lately, the reason you have been sensing both exhaustion and expectation at the same time, the reason certain doors suddenly closed while others quietly started forming in places you were not even looking, is because heaven has already started rearranging situations that people thought would never change. And even though you cannot yet see the full picture, you are standing closer right now to your breakthrough moment than you have ever been before in your entire life. Which is exactly why the enemy tried so hard recently to make you doubt yourself, to make you question your timing, and to make you believe that nothing was happening for you, because confusion is always sent right before clarity arrives, and discouragement is always sent right before restoration begins. And what you must understand today is that God never allows this level of stretching in someone's spirit unless He is preparing them to carry something greater than they have ever carried before. Which means the waiting you survived was not wasted time but preparation time. The silence you endured was not abandonment but positioning. And the disappointment you walked through was not rejection but protection from something that would have distracted you from the blessing that is now moving toward you faster than you realize. Because before this month ends, something unexpected will begin shifting in your favor, and the first sign will not be loud but it will be undeniable. It will feel like peace returning where anxiety used to live, clarity appearing where confusion used to control your thoughts, and confidence rising again inside you even though nothing around you has fully changed yet. And that is how you will know the transition has already started, because transformation always begins inside you before it becomes visible around you. And what makes this moment different from everything you experienced earlier in the year is that this time God is not just answering one prayer but aligning multiple pieces of your future at once in ways you could not have planned even if you tried. Which means some conversations will suddenly open doors, some opportunities will appear without warning, and some situations that once felt impossible will quietly start turning in your direction without struggle, without force, and without explanation. And when this begins happening, you must not doubt it or question whether you deserve it, because the truth is you did not survive everything you survived just to remain where you started. You were being strengthened for this exact season, prepared for this exact shift, and positioned for this exact moment. And even though there were nights when you thought nothing was changing and mornings when you wondered if your effort was invisible, God was already working behind scenes you could not see, arranging details you could not control and protecting outcomes you could not predict. And that is why right now more than ever you must stay steady in your faith, and strong in your expectation, because what is coming next will not only answer something you have been praying about, but it will confirm something deep in your spirit that you almost stopped believing was possible. And when that confirmation arrives, it will not just change one situation in your life, but it will change how you see yourself, how you walk forward, and how boldly you step into the opportunities waiting for you on the other side of this month, because this is the season where delay turns into movement. Pressure turns into purpose, uncertainty turns into direction, and the quiet preparation God has been doing in your life finally begins revealing results that no one around you expected but your heart secretly hoped for all along. Listen carefully, because what you are going through right now is not a random struggle, it is a divine setup. Every tear you've shed, every sleepless night, every moment you felt unnoticed is being meticulously woven into the story of your breakthrough. And you have to understand that timing is not always about what you see, it's about what God is quietly arranging behind the scenes. So don't rush, don't panic. Don't try to force what is meant to come naturally, because when the right doors open, they will open wide, without your effort, without your begging, without your anxiety. And what may feel like delay is actually the most perfect alignment of circumstances, people, and opportunities that will make your life shift from ordinary to extraordinary in ways you cannot even imagine. And I want you to feel this deep inside your soul. The silence you are experiencing right now is not absence, it is preparation. The pressure you are under is not punishment, it is refining, and the setbacks you've faced are not failures, they are the training ground for the victory that is coming. So I need you to stand firm, hold your faith, and never let doubt speak louder than hope, because your moment is being designed, your story is being rewritten. And the very challenges that seem unbearable today are the very catalysts that will catapult you into the destiny you were always meant to live. So embrace the waiting. Trust the process, and believe without seeing, because what God has for you is bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you could have planned for yourself. And when it arrives, it will not just change your life, it will change the trajectory of your entire legacy, your impact, and the way the world sees you. So stay faithful, stay focused, stay unshakable, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. And the same hands that allowed the storm are the same hands that will lift you to heights you have only dreamed of. Listen carefully, because what you are feeling right now, the heaviness in your chest, the doubt in your mind, the nights when sleep seems impossible and the mornings when hope feels distant, is not a punishment, and it is not a sign that you are failing. It is the exact moment before your breakthrough. It is the quiet preparation that happens when destiny wants to align something greater than you can imagine. And I want you to understand that every tear you have cried, every prayer you whispered into the silence, every moment you felt invisible, every time doors closed in your face, it was all happening because life is rearranging itself to give you something so extraordinary that ordinary patience could never prepare you for it. So do not give up, do not lose faith, and do not settle for the temporary comfort of excuses, because God, or the universe, or whatever you call the force that moves the impossible, is working quietly behind the scenes, positioning people, timing events, and opening opportunities in ways that will make your mind question how it even happened. And I need you to know that the struggle you are walking through is not wasted, it is refining you, shaping you, and strengthening a part of your character that will one day look back and smile because you survived what you thought you could not, and the patience you are holding on to right now, the faith you are clinging to in moments of doubt, is exactly what will carry you across the threshold of the life you have always dreamed of but could not see yet, and there is a divine timing at play here. A timing so precise that if you rush, you will miss the alignment, and if you despair, you will miss the lesson. And I want you to imagine the moment when all of this struggle, all of this waiting, all of this unseen preparation, suddenly bursts open in front of you like a sunrise after the darkest night. A sunrise that fills every corner of your life with clarity, purpose, and unshakable joy. And I promise you that it is coming, maybe not in the hour you expect, maybe not in the way you imagine, but it is coming with a force so strong that it will make you realize why nothing else could have worked before, why every closed door, every disappointment, every moment of loneliness was necessary to set you up for this. And while you wait, do not just wait passively. Continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to love. Continue to prepare yourself for the moment you step into a life that is bigger than your fears, because the universe rewards those who refuse to give up even when the world seems silent. Because the universe does not move at the pace of impatience, it moves at the pace of readiness. And right now, you are in that readiness phase, that invisible stage where everything is lining up perfectly. So hold on to hope, hold on to faith, hold on to the vision of the life you are meant to live. Because when the timing is right, when the unseen hands have finished their work, you will step into a reality that makes you realize that every struggle was a signpost, every tear a lesson, every delay a preparation, and suddenly, all the noise, all the pain, all the doubts will make sense, and you will understand why it had to be exactly this way. And the moment you cross that threshold, you will carry not only success and happiness, but wisdom, resilience, and an unshakable sense of purpose that will guide you through every future storm. And that is why I am telling you. Do not let temporary setbacks steal your eternal breakthroughs. Do not let the fear of waiting rob you of the miracles that are already in motion. Because your life is being crafted right now in ways that are far beyond what your mind can conceive. And if you stay faithful, if you stay strong, if you stay patient, you will not just witness miracles, you will become a miracle, and that miracle is already moving toward you even as you hear my voice. So take a deep breath, let go of the heaviness that is not yours to carry, trust the timing of your life, embrace the struggle as preparation, and remember that the universe, in its perfect silence, is building something extraordinary for you. And when that moment comes, you will look back at every dark night, every unanswered prayer, every closed door, and you will say, I see now why it all had to happen, and the tears you once shed will turn into a fountain of gratitude, and the life that once felt impossible will suddenly be your reality. And this is the power of patience, faith, and divine timing, so hold on, because your breakthrough is closer than you think, it is coming faster than you imagine, and when it arrives, it will change everything. Listen carefully because what you are about to hear might feel too real, it might hit you deep, and it might stir something inside you that you've been hiding even from yourself. Because right now, in this very moment, everything you're going through is not random, it is not meaningless, and it is not a punishment, it is a divine orchestration where every struggle, every delay, every tear, every sleepless night, and every unanswered prayer is aligning perfectly to set you up for a breakthrough so immense that your mind cannot even comprehend it yet. You might feel like you've been forgotten, like the world is moving forward without you, like every opportunity is passing by while you are stuck in a loop of uncertainty. But that is the very evidence that something greater is being prepared for you behind the scenes, something so powerful that if it came to you today, your heart and your spirit wouldn't be ready to handle it. And that is why there is silence now. That is why there is waiting. Now, because God is not late, He is not absent, He is orchestrating every single piece of your life like a masterful conductor, and every moment of frustration, every moment of doubt, and every moment of pain is actually a signal that you are on the right path, that your foundation is being strengthened, that your character is being tested so that when the doors finally open, you don't just walk through them, you run, you soar. And you rise with a force that others will notice and marvel at. So, do not despise the waiting, do not curse the struggles, and do not question the silence, because this is not the end of your story, it is the preparation, it is the refining, it is the quiet before the explosion of blessings. And I want you to understand that every disappointment you have faced is actually a redirection. Every no you have received is protection from what would have been less than your destiny. And every closed door is the universe aligning you with the one door that will change everything for you permanently. So when fear whispers that you are too late, when doubt shouts that it will never happen, when your heart feels weak and your spirit feels tired, remember this moment. Remember that God is moving silently, working relentlessly, and arranging circumstances that you cannot yet see. And the very things that have kept you up at night, the very things that have made you question your path, the very things that have made you feel invisible and unheard are the exact same things that are shaping you into the person capable of handling a miracle so huge that when it finally comes, it will leave no doubt that it was worth every tear, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, and every battle you thought you lost. So do not give up, do not stop praying, do not lose hope, because your breakthrough is closer than you think. The favor you've been waiting for is already on its way, and when it arrives, it will not just change your situation, it will change your life, your mindset, your purpose, and your destiny in ways you cannot even imagine. So hold on to faith like your life depends on it, because in reality it does, and what you are going through now is not the end. It is the exact beginning of the chapter that will define your greatness. And I promise you, when God finally moves, He will do it so powerfully that every doubt will vanish, every fear will dissolve, and every tear will turn into testimony. So keep going, keep believing, and keep trusting the unseen, because the universe is working, heaven is silent, and your miracle is being written right now in ways that are too perfect for you to mess up, too precise for the timing to be wrong, and too divine for anyone else to replicate. And when it comes, you will know that every struggle was never wasted, every moment of waiting was never pointless, and every heartache was actually the paving stone for the life you were always meant to live. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, walk with confidence even if you cannot see the road, because the one who holds your future is already there, arranging every step, and your victory is not a question of if, it is a question of when, and that when is closer than your doubts can imagine, closer than your fears can whisper, and closer than the world can see. So brace yourself, because what is coming is bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you've ever prayed for, and it is going to be worth every single moment you thought you couldn't go on, every single tear you shed, every single challenge you faced, and every single night you felt alone, because in the end, you will look back and realize that all of it, every piece, was perfectly designed to bring you exactly where you are supposed to be, standing victorious, standing unshakable, standing as the living proof that faith, patience, and perseverance are never wasted. That God's timing is always perfect, and that your story is just getting started. Listen carefully, because what you are going through right now is not just a series of random events, it is not just a coincidence, it is not just bad luck or a momentary failure. It is a divine setup that is quietly shaping you into someone extraordinary. And while you may feel impatient and restless, and while your heart may scream for immediate answers, know that the very pressure you are feeling, the very struggle that is keeping you awake at night, the very silence that surrounds you, is actually the proof that God is moving behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. Because some blessings, the ones that truly change your life, are not given to you in pieces but are crafted carefully in secret, and He is working not just to give you what you want, but to give you exactly what you need at the perfect moment. And sometimes that means allowing you to wait, allowing you to feel the weight of uncertainty, allowing you to confront every fear and doubt you have ever held, because it is in that tension, in that space where nothing seems to happen, where faith is tested and patience is honed, that the true miracle begins. And every moment of despair you feel, every tear you shed, every quiet prayer you whisper in the darkness, is being stored up as a part of a larger plan that is far greater than your imagination, far bigger than your current understanding, far more beautiful than you could ever dream. And even though the world may tell you to rush, to force, to take shortcuts, to settle for less, to be satisfied with mediocrity, the divine hand that guides your life is preparing something so monumental, so life-transforming, that nothing less than the highest version of yourself could receive it. And this preparation requires more than just time. It requires your growth, your endurance, your courage, and your unwavering belief in what you cannot yet see. Because when the storm feels unbearable, that is exactly when the sun is preparing to rise in your life, in a way that will blind you with its brilliance. And when every door seems closed, remember that sometimes the closed doors are not obstacles, they are signposts directing you to the right path, the path that is designed uniquely for you, the path that will lead you to your destiny in a way that no other route ever could. And every doubt that tries to whisper in your ear that you are forgotten, every voice telling you that you have failed, every shadow that tries to convince you that hope is lost, is a lie. Because God's timing is perfect, God's wisdom is infinite, and God's love for you is relentless. And even if you cannot see it right now, even if you feel completely alone, even if you are standing in the middle of what seems like a barren desert, know that underneath your feet, seeds of a miraculous harvest are being planted, watered, and nurtured in ways so meticulous that when the moment finally comes, you will be astounded by how everything fits together perfectly. And that is why your patience matters. That is why your faith matters. That is why every struggle is meaningful. Because in this divine preparation, there is no wasted pain, no random disappointment, No meaningless delay. Every heartbeat, every sigh, every setback, every tear is a brushstroke on the canvas of a masterpiece that is your life. A masterpiece that will be revealed at the exact moment it is meant to be revealed. A masterpiece so magnificent that it will make every hardship you endured seem like the smallest stepping stone on the way to glory. And when you finally receive it, when you finally step into the blessing, the miracle, the breakthrough that has been waiting for you all along, you will understand why the silence, the waiting, the struggle, and even the heartbreak were all necessary. And you will see that the hand of God was never absent, that the presence you doubted was never gone, that the divine orchestration of your life was always at work, guiding you, protecting you, preparing you. And the moment you embrace this truth, when your heart opens to receive the fullness of what is coming, every fear evaporates, every insecurity is silenced, and every past disappointment transforms into gratitude, because the pain you endured was not punishment, it was preparation, and the life that awaits you is not ordinary, it is extraordinary, because when God chooses to move, He does not do it halfway, He does it fully, abundantly, overwhelmingly, and your destiny is too great to be rushed, too precious to be handled carelessly, too magnificent to be anything less than perfect. And so today, even if you feel weary, even if you feel overlooked, even if you feel forgotten, lift your eyes, strengthen your heart, and hold on to the promise that God has never been silent without purpose, that every delay has been a lesson, every hardship a sculptor shaping your character, and every moment of waiting a rehearsal for the victory that is coming. And when that victory comes, when that breakthrough arrives, when your life is forever changed, you will finally understand that the struggle was never meaningless, the waiting was never in vain, the tears were never wasted, because God was preparing a life for you that you cannot even begin to imagine, a life that will overflow with blessings, joy, purpose, and fulfillment beyond your wildest dreams. And all that is required from you is faith, endurance, patience, and trust, because the God who has brought you this far is the same God who will not stop, the same God who will not fail, the same God who has reserved for you a miracle that will make everything else pale in comparison. So do not lose heart, do not give up, do not doubt, do not despair, because what is coming for you is greater than what you have ever experienced, and it is coming at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and it is destined to transform your life forever.